You're listening to On the Couch with Dr. Michelle, right here on LA Talk Radio.
You are officially on the couch here with Dr. Michelle Cohen. And we're going to have a fabulous day today. Things look a little different? Well, that's because I'm in our official, beautiful LA Talk Radio studios here in Tarzana, California, with my special guest. I am so excited because you know who she is. You know her. Here she is. There's the girl. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
She is an incredible host. And you probably listened to her show here on Talk Radio, LA Talk Radio. Actually, what's going to happen is she's on the air live after I am on Wednesdays. So if you're listening in on the PT, Pacific time, or wherever you're at in the world, I'm at 11. Yeah. She's at 12 noon. So we're going to do our thing together here back to back. How fun is that?
It is wonderful. I love the idea.
And Sam connected us. So he's the man. Thank you, Sam, for doing that.
Thank you.
So you know her show here, right? You follow. Show Me the Numbers. Show Me the Numbers. She is a famous numerologist. Couldn't quite get that out. But also we're going to talk to you about all the other amazing things that you've done and studied. And I want to jump into it. But can I just do a brief intro on you?
100%.
Okay.
Thank
This
you
is
so much
cool.
for having me here.
Oh,
I'm so
this is-
excited.
Thanks for coming in. This
Thank
is so
you.
neat. Okay. So, yeah. Kagan. That's her name. She's the one. Find her. Google her. She's all over the place. She's a highly skilled clinical hypnotherapist master. I am going to have her hypnotize me for several issues that we haven't discussed yet. She's graduated from HMI. That's a lot of work, by the way. That's a
It
lot
is.
of studying. So we'll talk about that. And you're also an NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming expert. That's therapy. Ooh, that therapy is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I am a firm believer in that. Girl, you did that. And also a master in numerology. And you have a thriving private practice. And it says you utilize your expertise to help clients achieve profound personal transformations. And you guide both men and women towards self-growth, positive changes through this ancient practice. And also you have a passion for empowering parents. That's
Mhm.
awesome. And so you wrote a book. It's called Unlock Your Child's Potential, The Guide to Parenting. There it is, using numerology. What a great book.
It is.
Ah, it's a wonderful idea. So with that being said, I will be quiet now. And you've been sitting here patiently while I do this long intro. So I read all about your bio, and you and I had a great chat before. But now you were in the travel business for several years, many years, right?
I was for
So-
25 years,
Whoa.
actually. Yeah, I was in the travel business even before I came to the US. I
Yeah.
studied it in Israel. And my mother used to own a travel agency in Israel. Talk about the subconscious mind and
Yeah.
how you are
Right.
programmed to do things.
Oh, yeah.
So I've done it for 25 years. I had a company in New York, and then we moved to Florida. It was super successful, but then I chose to make a change.
Well, what was it that made you want to change?
I was in a junction in my life. I
Uh-huh.
was after a divorce, and my ex was my partner
Yeah.
in the company, and I kind of like knew that I need to separate everything. And I was like, do I continue in the travel and just do something of my own, or do I just? There was something in me that needed a change, and I visited. I was in Israel visiting
Yes.
my hometown. And a
Yes.
friend said to me, why don't you go see a numerologist? And I was like, what is a numerologist? I had
Yes.
no idea, no
Right?
idea.
Yeah.
And I went to see this numerologist. He's very famous in Israel. And all I needed to give him was my date of birth and my name. I did not have Facebook at the time. So he couldn't have
Right.
looked and tried to,
Sure.
find information. And I'm sitting there in the room with a complete stranger. He
Right.
knows everything about me. He knows my personality. He knows how I even behave at time of stress.
Oh my
He knows
gosh.
my weaknesses. He knows my strength. He knew that I was married or not married, but that I had kids. He could even tell how many kids I had. And I was like, what the hell? How does he know that? And then he
Yeah.
said, what do you do for a living? And I said, I'm a businesswoman. I
Yeah.
own a big
Yeah.
travel business.
Sure.
And he was like, listen, you can succeed in different, many different fields. However, your destiny is to be a therapist. You need to help other people.
Oh my
And this was like a
goodness.
bomb. I was like, I think 40 at the time. And I was
Right?
like, therapy? I'm not going to go back to school now to study psychology. And I did sign up, by the way, after I finished the army in Israel.
yeah.
I signed up for psychology,
Yes.
but I never went. I kept postponing it.
Yes.
So I said to him, what do you mean? I mean, I'm not going to go study now to be a psychologist. He said, I didn't say a psychologist. I said therapy. You need to
Yes.
help other people. It will come. Look at the signs.
Wow.
And that's exactly what happened. It's almost like it
Wow.
came to me.
Yes.
And I got this call from HMI, from
Mhm,
the dean of admission, who said to me about hypnotherapy and hypnosis. And I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
What do I know
Right.
about hypnosis? I've been on a cruise and I saw, this guy hypnotizing someone and he started barking and
Yeah.
whatever. I was like, what do you mean? Like, that's not for me. I'm a
No.
very ethical person. I'm
Yeah.
not, that's not
You
for me.
started
And she said, come,
Yeah.
come,
Yeah.
let me show you what the place. And that's what I did. I went and met with the dean of admission, Michelle Ghazi, which I mentioned on over our call.
Mhm.
And the rest was history. I keep telling her that she
Wow.
hypnotized me probably. And I signed up. It was even expensive. And I didn't care. And
It
I
is.
started and I fell in love. And that was a journey of like a year and a half or 2 years between, different classes.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable experience.
Unbelievable. That is so cool. So let's go back to the numerologist. Did you feel a little invaded? Was it like, ooh, or was it like, wow, or what does he know? Who does he know? Was it a creepy feeling at first?
It
or-
wasn't, because
Okay.
also you have to be ethical and you
Yeah,
need to know
yeah.
what to say. And he
Sure.
also goes by the question that I was asking him. He doesn't
Okay.
just tells you
Good.
everything in the world,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was, how the hell did he do that? And I'm a
Right.
skeptic person. I don't believe everything. I need to understand before I believe something.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what was like, in my brain ever since is
Yes.
how did he get all this information about me? Again, if I had a Facebook,
Yes.
my brain would
Sure.
tell me, oh, he went on my
I
Facebook
got
page and
backstory.
yeah,
Right.
big deal. He
Right.
found but I didn't. And I live in the US. I didn't even live in Israel. So where did he get all this information?
My goodness.
And that
Yes.
came back to me later because I spent 2, 3, 4 years into studying and
Yeah.
hypnotherapy and
Well,
NLP and the rest. And then I went back to it saying, okay, so how did he know to bring
Right.
me into this field now where I understood what my destiny was? And I do have to say, I wasn't a therapist before,
Mhm.
but I was always a therapist.
I bet.
It
Just
always,
who you
yes,
are.
yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always had people with issues, big issues,
Sure.
big issues. I'm talking anorexic, I'm talking
Sure.
drugs, all kind of
Ooh.
substance abuse, someone trying to commit suicide even, and it all came to me.
Yes.
And there was a reason why I
Yes.
attracted it, because apparently that's my destiny.
Absolutely.
And that's what I did. So when he said it, it was like, you got me. You got me right
You got me,
here.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that was fascinating for me.
I've always thought that numerologists, well, therapists as well, were somewhat empathic too. I mean, they read people. It's not trickery. It's
Mhm.
just they have this energy that they really pick up on people as well. So they work with those numbers. But you too have to have had, and I'll bet, let me finish the sentence. I always stop in a mid-sentence. But you must have had a lot of empathy with who you are growing up and all of your life changes and, adjusting to things. But I bet you were one of those young people and, teenagers and all that, where all your friends came to you and said, Anna, help me.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And when I used to ask them,
Yeah.
why are you all coming to me? And they were like, because you know how to solve the problem. You know what to tell us. You know, you have it. I didn't understand it at the time.
You put out that vibe.
Right.
Ah.
And by the way, numerology, it's very interesting
Yeah.
because we divide the numbers from 1 to 9 into group of numbers.
Yes.
So there is the group of number of the emotional group of people,
Sure.
which those are the people that when you see the numbers, when you see the number 2, the number 3, the number 6, you know that those are the people that want to help other, that they are sensitive, they have empathy towards, and you know that one of the occupations that are good for them is to be a therapist. And that's what he saw in me because I am a number 6.
Yes.
And I have also 2s within my numbers. So
Yeah.
that's how he knew. So we can tell. And by the way, I grew up in a home that both my mom and my dad were in the in a completely different group of numbers, yet they were also empathetic towards other, always helping. It's also the environment that I was raised in Israel,
so
because
blessed.
Yes. People needed help all the time.
Yes, they did.
So I guess
still do.
it's
Oh.
I guess it's like everything together. So even though when I grew up, I went towards the business world, which is both my parents, but it came back to me. So even if you don't find your destiny at the right time, at age 20 or age 30, it will come back and wait for you somewhere. So that was in my case, at least.
And it's just, and I do think things happen for a reason.
For sure.
You do too. Yeah.
For sure.
And so did you want to, shall we talk about numbers, numerology? Shall we go into hypnosis? What would you like first? Because I'm so curious as to how you got in. Well, I know about your classes now and all your studying, but shall we talk about hypnotherapy?
Absolutely.
By the way, I've been hypnotized several times just for relaxation. I was hypnotized once. My husband bought me for my birthday a gift to do a past life regression. And my brain was I didn't feel that good about doing this because it was really weird, wonky, like you and I discussed on the phone. So I think I was all over the place, but I did have flashes. But the other people I was hypnotized by for just relaxation and just getting into the thing, visualizing some trauma. And it was like I got addicted to that feeling, that alpha theta brain. And it's all about you, the hypnotherapist, and how folks feel good with you and how you go about your work. So can you talk about maybe why hypnotherapy is so good for people and some of the uses that you do to help people?
100%. And I'm happy that you brought the subject because many people are afraid of hypnosis. Many people that hears that I'm a hypnotherapist and they're like, no, hypnotherapy, we are not interested. And I'm like, for what reason? That's the reason they're afraid. They think that they are losing control and you can control their thoughts, their behavior. So I do want to say that what people knows about hypnosis is what we call stage hypnosis. And that is being used for entertainment only.
Right, the guy that was barking like
Exactly.
a dog.
You'll see it in cruises. There was a movie, I don't remember the name, where they show a part and I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? Now people will think that is hypnotherapy. It is not. It's for therapy use. And it's basically a higher state of relaxation. So we put people in a complete state of relaxation. Why? Because the brain has the critical mind. It has an area in the brain that wants to protect the subconscious mind. And what happened is, which is a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it comes to help us. However, we are being taught everything we know in our subconscious mind at a very young age. Some things may not work for us later on. And I love to give as an example extreme. So an extreme is if I was raised, for instance, in a home where one of my parents were using drugs, for instance.
Sure.
At an older age, I try to stay away from drugs because I know in conscious mind that it's not good for me. However, your subconscious mind said, but that's what I know. And if my mom used it, maybe it's not a bad thing. And
Okay.
that's where the confusion comes. So it's a
Yes.
clash, daily clash, all day probably between the conscious and the subconscious. So if I want to help someone who comes and say, I have a problem, I want to check how is he programmed? What is in that subconscious mind? But if I
Oh.
want to help him change it, he will have an issue because the subconscious mind will say, no, don't touch
Right.
me. Don't touch
Right.
me.
Get out of my
This is
head.
a positive, not a negative thing. That's how I'm programmed. Don't do that. Don't let her change your thoughts. That's what we do in hypnosis. We do a complete state of relaxation so that you release a little bit your mechanism, and so that you can get suggestions, which is basically what I do as a hypnotherapist. So it's very similar. I tell people it's very similar to meditation,
Yes.
but it's almost like a guided meditation.
Yes.
And as a therapist, obviously, I needed to learn, everything to do about therapy
Sure.
and all the clinical studies, because otherwise it's not enough to learn the tool that calls hypnosis. I need to know how to use it, how to use it right. What are the ethical rules? What are the law and ethics in general? Where
Sure.
can I do it? Where I can't do it? And there are very strict rules about it. And as long as you go and do, everything by the book and do it right, it's not even a long process. Some people, just like you said, will come just for relaxation. Why? Because the stress level in the world is up in the sky, and it's affecting their behavior. And that's a behavioral therapy, basically.
Sure. Absolutely.
So some people, we just do that. Some people will come for self-esteem issues, which normally will come from the past somewhere. And there's a lot of other things like phobias that people has, and you can use that to desensitize a little bit the emotions. There are like extreme things. There's also smoking cessation, which I actually took the course, but I chose not to perform because I've never smoked in my life, and I'm just not connected. There is past life regression.
Right.
Again, I took the course. We could choose different courses, and I did a lot of them because it was fascinating.
Right.
And then each one chooses, what his expertise.
Sure.
So to say, I mean, that's what I wanted to bring here in that interview is there's no reason to be afraid.
Good.
But you need to feel comfortable. You need to find the person that you have rapport with. You need to feel comfortable. You need to connect to the tonality and to the voice, because we all speak differently. And if you are there, if you find the right therapist or the right hypnotherapist, just like any other therapy, you can do it. And it's quick. That's why I love it.
I love it.
We check suggestibility level. We have a special test that we do that we learned in HMI. And we check how suggestible, like some people are very literal. So the level of success would be higher with them.
Yeah.
And some people are a little bit more emotional. So they process the information through their emotions. So they will take a little bit more time. But if you are suggestible, very literal, sometimes within one session, you can get rid of bad habits.
Wow. Incredible.
And that's powerful.
So you're getting deep into the subconscious.
Exactly.
Wow. So you can get into the subconscious mind through the lighter stage of sleep, alpha, and then the theta deeper. Do most of your people get into that theta state of
not necessarily, not necessarily,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that it doesn't work.
Right.
And sometimes they are not going to go as deep in the first session because they're still more skeptical. Again, unless you're very literal We
Right.
call it high physical and
Mhm.
suggestibility.
Right.
But even if you didn't in the first session, it will be more and more every session
Yeah.
as you go.
Oh,
And some
okay.
people don't know how to scale it, meaning,
Mhm, mhm.
but I wasn't asleep. I could hear
Right.
everything she told me, and I remember everything. It doesn't mean that you are not being hypnotized. You are still, your
Wow.
subconscious mind
Sure.
still listens, still get, obviously, there's a certain language
Right.
that we use
Oh,
when we do
beautiful.
that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And all that, that's what we study there.
Right.
It's an amazing
Oh,
really, I mean,
it
the
is.
college, the whole way that it's ran, but the education that I received there, really,
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that.
Wow. I bet you're wonderful at it. And one real quick question, because a lot of people ask me this. I only had one 6-unit course in hypnotherapy post-grad, so that was cool, but not the huge education you received. Is that they're really afraid. Can this person control me? Am I going to bark like a dog? I mean, no, right?
But that's what they see, so that's what
You
they
can't
know.
control anyone per
No,
se, right?
no,
Yeah.
no. Also, I'm a therapist. It's am I
Yeah.
going to give a person the wrong suggestions?
Right.
No, I'm not. But
No.
that's why I study
Right.
what I do, and obviously that's why people need to know where they go. I do see some cases, I have to say, and not only in hypnotherapy. I see it in other in EMDR lately.
Right.
I see different things. People needs to understand. You need to check who you choose to work with. You need to
Yes.
check
Oh
their
my goodness.
education.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in hypnotherapy, it's very
Sure.
important. Some people go and find those short 1
Mhm.
week or over a weekend course, which they teach them how to use hypnosis. It doesn't make them a hypnotherapist. Be
Right.
careful.
Yes.
You need to know who you go to. It's a powerful tool. I do want to say that. So
Oh,
choose
gosh,
who you
yes.
go to.
Yes.
But if you find a good hypnotherapist, you want them to have experience. We take
Yes.
a lot of classes just for
Mhm.
training.
Oh gosh.
We had, I
yes.
don't remember the
Yeah.
amount of
Oh, yeah.
hours,
A
but
lot
we
of
just
hours.
came, there was 3 days a
Mhm.
week in the afternoon that we needed to come and do different type of like exercise, like they would teach us, divide us into either groups or
Right.
couples,
Mhm.
and we would work with each other.
That's wonderful.
And it was quite amazing.
I bet. How cool is that? So no one's going to do anything goofy because they're it's not comfortable, and so it's number one is feeling comfortable with your hypnotherapist, but also understanding that you're not going to do anything. Not you absolutely are not going to do anything to humiliate this person because of your ethics and your extensive training, but also they're not going which is the thing I heard, and I could be wrong, regularly not feel okay to do. In other words, they're up there because they want to be on the stage in this hypnotherapy show and they want to be noticed.
Right. And he knows how to catch them. He knows how to
Right.
find them according to body language.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they know how to do it. That's
Pick
not
me,
what
pick
we
me.
do.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's not what we do.
Oh my goodness. That is so fascinating. Can you just share some of the most interesting types of hypnotherapy sessions that you had with people? Maybe I know this is kind of a wow out there, but
No, it's I
yeah.
actually have a lot of
Oh, cool.
very interesting examples. I may choose 2 of them. I try to be careful because it's still, people's life and information that I'm not sharing. So I'll try to change it and, but I still want to give the information. I had a client once that came that said, I think I was sexually abused in my childhood. Now, we're being very careful with things like that because you don't take people to trauma because it may cause more harm than good.
Agree.
But something with the way the client brought it was like, I'm not sure that that was the story. So I'll try to dig in there. Now, I do want to say when I do hypnotherapy, I don't necessarily take them to a place. I open the information. I open the movie, story, whatever it is, but they take me because I don't know where I'm going,
Oh,
really. I don't know
love
to tell them,
it.
let's go to your house, let's go to
Yes.
your friend's house. I don't know that information. But long story short, as we were doing it, by the way, before that, I asked her, how does it affect your life now?
Right.
Like, why do you feel that you've been gone through a sexual abuse in your childhood? How is it, where does it catch
Right.
you now in those days as an adult?
Yeah.
And the story was like that every
Yeah.
time she is involved in intimacy, she's not relaxed. She feels like somebody is opening the door any minute. Something doesn't feel right. When we did what we did, it happened to be that in childhood, there was a story in the house. I'm not going to get into all the details, but she came into the house with her cousin and they caught someone,
Oh, okay.
and it was something she was not supposed to see. So
Right.
I was trying to ask what was the reaction of the person that was caught, because
Yes,
after all,
yes.
as a child, we learn from reactions. If there is a negative reaction to something, it will be programmed in our brain,
Sure.
something to do with intimacy or with sex or whatever it is, has a negative association with it. And the minute I got into that point, I was like, first of all, I knew that I got what I need. I took her
Right.
out
Oh,
of it because I didn't need it anymore. And she got up. She was like, she remembered everything that we did. And I said, we don't even need to continue discussing it. I think you got your answer. Do you want to release it now?
yes.
Let's just do that. And
Yes.
it was one session.
Oh my goodness.
That's all it was.
Incredible.
And this was just a one example. And I'm going to give you another example. Even though it's not what I do, I think I told you over the phone. When we finish the college, we need to do pro bonos. There are certain hours that we needed to
You
do.
You do.
People contact the
Thousands
college.
of hours.
Yeah. People contact the college
Yeah.
and the college assign them the therapist. And the first client that the college assigned, they said the director himself interviewed that potential client, and he wants only you to work with her. And I was like, okay, like, why? She said, meet with her. I needed to give her 6 sessions, 6 free sessions. And I met with her. And first of all, the minute she walked in, I was like, wow, this director is a genius. She was a Muslim from Iran.
Oh my goodness.
Who came to the US. And why did he choose me? Because I come from the same mentality. I'm not Muslim, but I've lived with them. They are our brothers and sisters in Israel. I know their mentality. I know everything she told me. I didn't need to go and dig and check. What does she mean? Why does she need to be dressed like that? Why is she being judged like that? I knew, because I know the Muslim. And it was, I think it was brilliant. But not only that, we did a great work. On her 5th session, the problem was over already.
Wow.
She said, do you do past life regression? I said, no. I said, I did study it, but I chose not to for whatever, my own reasons. And she said, do you mind doing it with me? I said, no problem. I'm just telling you, it's not my expertise. And I started and we did it. And I'm seriously saying that she was in her 30s, I think, with a heavy, heavy American accent. She spoke Arabic. And she says, I think I was here before. I think I lived in the US in past life. And I said, okay. And we did what we did. And we found ourselves in Pennsylvania, where she's in a house with her dad. He's actually just coming back from work. He's American, so she's American. And within seconds, she was 6 years old in that setting. She started talking to me like a 6-year-old American girl with American accent that I could kill for. Wow. And I was looking, I was like, what the hell is going on here? And whatever, it wasn't anything specifically therapeutic, what she needed there. She just needed to know if she was American before. And the answer was there. Because how can you fake such an amazing accent within seconds?
Yes.
She was talking amazing English.
Yes.
amazing
No, you
American
can't,
accent.
right?
And she was telling me, my dad went to work. I'm waiting him to come back. Where are you? I'm in Pennsylvania. She was telling me the setting of, like the older houses in the Northeast. And I was like,
Oh my goodness.
I was shocked.
So did she have a little girl voice?
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
God.
yes. But then within seconds, I was like, okay, we got what we wanted. Again, there's nothing for me to do
right,
there.
Right. What are you gonna do?
We got out. She was very relaxed. It was something registered here, and she needed to release it. She needed to know why. I don't know, and it's not my business.
Right?
And that's like
Exactly.
an amazing example on something that I
It
don't actually
is,
do,
right?
but it was
It just
out of this
flips.
world.
That's
Yes.
a beautiful story.
Yeah.
I mean, I've interviewed people, I've heard these stories from people who are very interested in that and studied it and done, and that some do speak in foreign languages, which freaks me out kind of. I mean, I don't do your hypnosis. I don't do the specialty you do, but I mean, that would flip me out. And then you read the stories, and some are not believable online, but some of the people I've interviewed who knew their name, they're young. They knew their name, where they lived, what they were doing. And if you look in history, you can go back, you can Google
You can
this
find
person.
it.
They're real. Now, how could this 10-year-old get online and study?
Right.
His mother came with him and study this whole deal. What is this about? This was years ago. And so, no, it's a thing. We all have powerful subconscious minds, and things are stored. And my goodness, I think most of us have amnesia. I believe that there are past lives because of the people I've interviewed.
Right.
I don't know if I want to know. Do you want to know about
I chose
yours? Yeah,
not
yeah.
to know,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth. By the way, my
Yeah.
dad was a Holocaust survivor,
Oh,
and he did not talk for years.
no.
And when being a child in Israel, you know that your dad is a Holocaust survivor. He doesn't talk, he doesn't share information, to the point that as a child you said, maybe it wasn't really like that. Maybe it wasn't that bad.
Right. You want to make it better than it was.
Exactly. But then
Scary.
when I went to college, I said to myself, my dad was performing, and probably still is, on a surviving mode.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Oh my goodness.
And I started looking at him in a completely different way. And obviously, part of our ethics, in hypnotherapy is we don't go to trauma, but it was like my dream in my brain, like to be able to do it. Obviously, I would never do it.
No, sure.
But imagine what he's storing in his brain, and he probably sees the pictures, the images
Flashes.
all the time.
Flashbulb moments.
Right. And it made me like be even more empathetic towards him. And I got so connected with him after, because when you study, I'm
Yes,
sure it
of
happened to you
course.
as well.
Yes,
You
yes.
go through therapy yourself. You are a completely different person the
Yes.
day you start and the day you end. And that's another thing I'm really grateful for, that while my process and everything,
Yes.
I got out of there a completely different person.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that is an amazing thing. I think you're right. You have such a good point. Of course, we love our parents, and you said you didn't have a lot of drama or trauma, that's why you are who you are also. But I think in a beautiful way. I think that also when we get to know our parents and really understand them deeper, because there's little things. They're parents and they nag us. So
Right.
But I think when we become these more understanding people and look at their backstory and really embrace it, wow. We have such compassion. Of course, we have love for our parents and respect. But
Right.
my God, the respect that you're, feeling for your dad and what he suffered and the trauma he had to see.
Right.
That is probably the most horrific trauma I can imagine.
Right. And my mother too, in a way, because she was born before the declaration
Yes,
of the
yes.
state of Israel. They were fighting, they were shooting them in the streets. Imagine what they were going to. So they're very strong people, though,
Yes, they are.
because from the day they came to the world, they were in a surviving mode. They were,
Absolutely.
like fighting for food, for
Yes.
surviving, so I admire both of them. And I believe that me and my brother became the people we are also thanks to the way we were raised, the way we lived, I believe that we're different people.
We absolutely are. But I do believe, and you know this too, we have that DNA within us. We have the DNA of the Holocaust. I'm sorry, we do. We
Right.
just have
Second
trauma that's
generation.
imprinted, the second generation,
Right.
third generation, whatever. It's imprinted and it's there. And I think in a way, there is a universal, with God, the word, we're imprinted with that knowledge for survival. It's always there. We're hyper vigilant. We're always scanning the environment,
Right.
right?
100%.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I'm so happy that you get it. And so your dad has he chatted about much of it that much, or is he?
You know what? It's interesting
Yeah.
because when I was a child, no, he didn't.
Sure.
Never came to my school and spoke to our
Oh, sure.
class or whatever. But when he got older, I want to say that he was close to 50 when he started. He just didn't stop. He was talking all the time. He went and did lectures in every place that opened the door. And believe me, they opened the doors for that in Israel.
Yeah.
Everywhere he went, and he just volunteered his time to just tell the story, because he always said, never forget, never forget. And then he wrote a book, which was a little bit all over the place, because when you touch trauma also,
you
it's
gotta include all of the information that you.
so it was a little bit like.
Sure.
And when he turned 90, which was almost 3 years before he passed, I did a party for him, not a big party, but like the whole family, even a few friends in Jerusalem, in Israel. And I said, Abba, which is dad, I want to ask you to give me a present. I said, I want to take a professional company and I want to make a movie about you. And I'm going to interview you. I didn't know that I know how to interview back then, but I'm going to sit with you for 2.5 days. They will film us, and then we will cut it into a movie, because I wanted everything to be shared. Not only my kids knew my dad very well, but they will have kids. And I want it to go, with the family for years. And I want other people to watch it, because every year we commemorate, I would say, the Holocaust Day in Israel.
Absolutely.
And we do here what we call memory in the living room. And houses open their house and they are looking for survivors to come and tell the stories, but there are not a lot. You can't find them.
No.
So I have the movie. And it's a 40-minute long movie.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I translated it to English as well. So that took some time. And the first time I was screening it was when it was my dad's 30. So after you passed, you sit Shiva, and then you do the 30 days. So I brought all my friends, and we were showing the movie. And last Holocaust Day, I did it also in the Israeli Center. I was showing the movie. So I think it was another way for my dad to vent all the trauma and all the information, and kind of like move it, like, my daughter, you take it. Now it's yours. Do with it what you need. And I felt it was like a closure.
Yes.
And when he passed, obviously I was very sad. I was also with him. I was the only one with him. And I said, Abba, thank you. Because I'm very sad that he passed, but he also suffered. But I'm not sad because I have all your life with me on a 40-minute movie. And that's my thing now, just to share it.
Beautiful. What a beautiful thing. And that was therapeutic for you to make that movie as well.
Yes.
But so much for him.
Yes.
To be able to verbalize and get it out and feel the feelings
and remembering.
He has a voice.
Right.
And a memory.
Yes.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody, if you just tuned in here, you're on the couch. You're saying, wait a minute. Yeah. Doesn't
next.
she come on next or what? Yeah. She's going to be interviewing me next. So you never know what's going to happen.
Never know.
In the studios, beautiful studios here at LA Talk Radio. Sam's engineering, and he's the man who created it all. Bless you, Sam. Thank you. And so, show me the numbers. That's the show that's coming on. Show me the numbers. We're here now showing the numbers. We briefly talked about show the numbers, but can we get into NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming? Because I know you're a specialist in that and you studied. I am fascinated with that because it does overlap with my cognitive behavioral therapy so closely.
Right.
So, what is NLP, first of all?
So neuro-linguistic programming, which is everything we need to do in order to do a behavior changes. So it deals with the neuro, which is more your expertise, kind of, but it's the nerve system and the brain. And then the P is the programming, which is the subconscious mind, basically how we are programmed. And everybody is being programmed completely different. Everybody had different childhood, different parents, different environment. And the linguistic is all the languages, meaning not just the verbal language, it's the body language, it's the face impression, it's the eye movement. And we study all that. So when a client sits in front of me, I don't just listen.
Sure.
Because what I hear is maybe 7 or 9% of what's actually happening. I'm looking at his body language. When I do hypnosis, by the way, just to go back to it, I try not to do it in video, only in person, because when I do video, I cannot see body language. I cannot see ab reactions.
Sure.
And it's a sign for me.
Sure.
And I look at face impression. Even while they're with closed eyes, I will see the movement under.
Yes.
So all that we study. Now, NLP became very popular in the past, I don't know, 10 years or maybe less. However, what I studied in HMI also.
Right.
It was a long
Beautiful.
time course with space between each of the classes so that you can practice because it's a lot of practice.
Sure.
And I learned NLP for therapeutic needs. Can I also help salespeople and give? Yes, of course I can, but I learned it for therapeutic use. And it's somewhat similar to hypnosis, but I don't have to use hypnosis. We use a lot of visualizations. We use a lot of, like the hypnosis helps me to do it even stronger. We use anchoring, again, to register for the brain. If you take, whether you want to reframe something, if you will touch and anchor a certain place, it will register better in your brain. So we use the touching, we use the anchoring. There is an amazing tool that we use, which calls Swift Pattern. Like I said, it's amazing. Like I said before, the brain remembers pictures. It could be a stand picture, it could be a video, but we remember pictures. When you talk to me about my dad, I immediately bring up his picture.
Right.
So what we do with this tool is we take the negative picture of a negative situation that a person came for me to help him release. And we start playing basically by enlarging or smaller to a point. If we had half an hour, we will do it right here, but to the point that you swish the pictures. So you take the negative picture, and that's a bigger picture, and you put the smaller picture next to it. The smaller picture will be at the beginning a positive memory that you have, or a positive thought that you may want, like how would you want to look, where would you want to be, but in a positive association.
Right.
And when you do the swish, it happens very, very quickly, and you switch between them. And then you can even make the negative picture obviously become very, 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 very small and even disappear completely. Now, you may know better than me because I know that you're all into the brain, and we've discussed, issues that I told you I don't want to get into because I don't know enough about it, and physics and everything.
Sure.
But the brain, from some reason, when you do that, kind of like release the negative picture, release the bad memory, and not deal with the negative emotion that's
Yes.
associated
Right.
with that photo, and it just changed completely. And it
That
happens
is
like that
so
within a
cool.
second.
Oh, so if you're doing an NLP session and someone has uh, social phobia, let's say they can't speak in public, or they're very shy, or they have a low self-confidence, whatever. So that's the picture they're seeing.
Yeah, I'll
And then
tell
you-
them to bring a picture
Uh-huh.
of an event like that, whether
Oh,
they
so it's a
walked
real
into a
picture.
room. Yes,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
you walk into a room or
Yeah.
into somebody's house, doesn't matter. There are people there, and tuck the trigger.
Wow.
When does it happen? How does it look? And I let them describe the picture to me.
Wow.
Now I enlarge it at the beginning because I want it to be stronger, but I touch it where the trigger is. And then I tell them, bring up another picture now, maybe in childhood where you were in a situation surrounded maybe with friends or with family that you felt so
Okay.
good.
Oh, so
You
it's
felt so
associated
happy.
with that
Yes,
phobia or that fear.
exactly, exactly. And then you switch, then you change them, and the
Right,
brain is like,
right.
what's happening?
Right. The brain's trying to sort it out. Oh, what?
And suddenly it works.
I love that.
It's
That's
quite
beautiful.
amazing.
I bet. And you can combine, I mean, it's very close. And I see why in your hypnotherapy studies that they would have you learn those classes as well. There's some neuro linguistic programming.
Mhm.
What a concept. And that's what it's all about, too.
Exactly.
You are, I think, higher advanced than a lot of the psychology teachings, which we'll talk about in your show.
Right.
next, that I traditionally learned. I mean, they're old school. So what you're learning is how powerful we are in our minds. And you and I are totally on the same.
100%.
that,
And
yeah.
how powerful the subconscious mind, much
Oh.
powerful than the conscious mind,
Oh,
because we have
yes.
all kind of defense mechanism
Sure we do.
that are blocking the information that comes through the conscious mind.
Sure, sure.
And
Huge.
I love that you raised that subject, because some psychologists don't like us because we study less years
Right,
than
right.
them.
Sure.
However, I mean, trust me, we study.
Oh,
Trust
I know
me.
you did.
And they don't like it. But I'll tell you
Sure.
what, people, first of all, in life now, people are looking for instant. They want quick
Are
results.
they? Yeah.
Psychology can take a long time. First
Yes.
of all, because you have to get to root
Right.
cause. With hypnosis, I can find the root cause quite quickly. Again, depends on the client that's sitting with me,
Yes.
but in general.
Beautiful.
So I don't like to say that something is better than something else. So I never say, oh, come, because hypnotherapy is
Yes.
so much more. No, I
Yes.
don't like to say that.
Right.
And some people prefer to go and see a psychologist, and it's good and it works.
Yes.
It's been
it
years
does.
and it works and it's wonderful.
I love it.
However, the difference, and that's what I see in my, because
Yeah.
the session looks almost the same.
Yeah, yeah.
I see. The
Ah,
session is
beautiful.
almost
Yes,
the
yes.
same, but I give them also tools.
I love
So I do something. I do anchoring, or I do
Yes.
I desensitize something,
Yes.
or the swish pattern, or whatever. There are
Yeah, yeah.
so many more. That's why people like it, because they want it here and now.
Ah.
So I tell them it's not a miracle, but it's miraculous.
beautiful. It's about that time, I guess.
I see that.
Yeah. Kagan. You are the show me the numbers girl. You're going to be on next, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Oh, yes.
Thank you for being such a wonderful guest. Oh, how can people find you and get more information about you and your practice?
Okay, so first of all, I will share my phone number. People can call
Wow.
me or text me. Many people text me, and then we schedule time to talk. It's area code 201-873-6666. I also have a website, yaelkagan.com. I have a social media. I have Facebook, which is Yael Kagan. I have Instagram, which is Kagan Yael. I have a YouTube channel, also
over,
Yael
girl.
Kagan. So all over the place. The
Beautiful.
easiest, send me a text. I'll get back to you.
Thank you for all you do. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you
My
for having me
pleasure.
here. It was a
My
pleasure.
All righty, everybody. Thank you for being here on the couch. And as I always say, take care of yourself first, and then you'll be great for other people. Thanks for joining me.
You're listening to On the Couch with Dr. Michelle, right here on LA Talk Radio.